Ghost formed in Sweden in the year of our Dark Lord 2006 by Tobias Forge of death metal band Repugnant fame. I mean, we know that now, but for years, we did not. Ghost bursted onto the scene at the perfect time, releasing their demo in 2009, right about the time when the occult rock boom was just peaking. Not to say that it was all just timing, since most of those other bands are nowhere to be seen, and Ghost are now massively popular. Ghost had something different. The costumes and early live shows were super cool. They had a gimmick. The songwriting was tight and professional, and the lyrics were dark, all about Satan and the occult, very Hammer horror-esque. 2010 would see them release a single through Iron Pegasus Records, and the strength of that and the demo got Ghost signed to Lee Dorian's Rise Above Records. That right there checks out with what Tobias said about originally signing with a smaller label. He had no idea that Ghost would take off the way it did. And I sure didn't either. 2010's debut album Opus Eponymous was something that we needed, or it's at least my opinion. It was brooding and evil, but not trying to be completely serious. It was the perfect mix of Blue Oyster Cult and Merciful Fate. 2013 gave us the follow-up, Infest Tumen. I was initially disappointed, but it really grew on me, and it has also stood the test of time, but to me it was a step down from the debut. Later that year, the If You Have Ghost EP was released, featuring all cover songs, showing that Tobias was not just influenced by metal. 2015 brought us Meliora, which proved that Ghost was not a one-trick pony. The songwriting was a step up, and this album was full of strong songs, my favorite being the amazing He Is. Around this time, I remember reading an interview with Tobias saying that with Ghost, he had always intended to write dark, satanic lyrics, set to music that had pop sensibilities, and he was more than amused to see kids that were into it. I myself also got a kick out of that. Well played, Mr. Forge. 2016 gave us the Pope Star EP, which, like the last EP, gave us interesting non-metal cover songs, but this time we would also get a new and original song, that song being Square Hammer, a lyrically very dark song full of Satan and occult rituals, and it was the catchiest, most infectious song that Tobias ever wrote. It got mainstream airplay and was even used at sports events, proving that normies don't pay attention to lyrics. 2018 gave us the fourth album, Prequel. I'm just going to say right now, this was the first chink in the armor. This was the first album that took much longer to grow on me. Despite having two great singles in Rats and Dance Macabre, and other good songs like Life Eternal, it seemed that maybe Tobias was running out of ideas. The music and lyrics, while still fairly sinister, were more tongue-in-cheek and just seemed safer to me. I like the album okay now, but when it came out, it really kind of made me wonder what would come next. As is tradition at this point, we always get an EP in between albums, and 2019 gave us 7 Inches of Satanic Panic, which pretty much saw nothing but scathing reviews. I was always fine with it. In fact, I thought it was just a fun, short listen. 2 songs of 60s-inspired tunes, not taking itself serious at all. Fast forward to 2022, the longest in-between album gap, giving Tobias plenty of time to write the most recent Ghost album, lmpera. Now, I'm just going to be blunt. I don't much like this album. I mean, no, it isn't terrible. But as someone who was on board since the beginning, lmpera has really let me down. This was the first album to see Tobias stepping down from the guitar position, which I found odd, but I'm sure he saw his guitar skills as limited, and he probably wanted someone to bring something new to the table. He still wrote the parts, but he brought in fellow Swede Fredrik Åkesson of Opeth fame and an impressive guitarist. The guitar riffs still sound like Tobias, but there are noticeably more elaborate solos sprinkled throughout the album. I think I'll do sort of a song-by-song breakdown now. Nothing too detailed, because that just isn't my style. After the admittedly pretty cool intro, track 2, Kaiserion, is unlikable from the start. I hate the poppy, bouncy sound of it, and other than the cool drumming and brief prog riffing near the end of the song, I have no use for this. Track 3, Spillways, has some cool lyrics, but might just be a little too poppy, and that's me being a little bit generous. Track 4, Call Me a Little Sunshine, was one of the album's singles, and I appreciated it a little more after I learned that the lyrics were based on Aleister Crowley, which ties into the album cover. Bonus points if you know what I'm talking about. So, the song is at least heavier than the first few tracks, and maybe of the entire album. I dig the subtle organ usage. Track 5, Hunter's Moon, was the lead single of the album, and was even used for the Halloween Kills soundtrack, which is pretty cool. Okay song, not my favorite. Track 6, Watcher in the Sky, is probably my favorite of the whole album. Pretty heavy, has an 80s vibe in spots, cool mid-paced thrash riffing, proggy tight drumming. Not bad. Track 7, Dominion, is an instrumental interlude that I don't have a problem with, even if it doesn't really add much to the album at all. Track 8, 20s, has some cool sinister vocals that I would welcome more of, along with heavy riffing and small bursts of double bass drumming, but all of that is kinda offset by some dumb lyrics. Track 9, Darkness at the Heart of My Love, almost reminds me of He Is from Meliora, but not quite as well written, and the finger snaps turn me off. Get out of here with that shit. Track 10, Griftwood, great title by the way, is very catchy and melodic and probably one of my least favorites on the album. Track 11, Bite of Passage, is another instrumental interlude, but it does work since it bleeds into track 12. Track 12, Respite on the Spitalfields, closes the album, and it's a bit mellow and melodic for me in a way, but it does have some cool 70s prog moments and stellar guitar work from Mr. Akison. So I'm going to give lmpera a 5.5 out of 10. To me, it is the weakest Ghost album by far, and I am a big fan. You can tell that Tobias was trying to broaden his horizons and work on his songwriting chops, but I miss the darkness of the first 3 albums. Even the last album, Prequel, grew on me. I've listened to lmpera at least 5 or 6 times between now and its release date, and I just don't like it. It doesn't leave me feeling hopeful for the future of Ghost, but I'm still a loyal fanboy.